Now, you and I are products of the Haskalah. Look at the way we dress. Look at our language. Look at what we study. Look what we do for a living. We are the products of the Haskalah. And what happens to us and some of our children and grandchildren?
I had the pleasure of seeing Dr. Berk and learned that he leads these trips to Eastern Europe. And I thought, if I'm ever going to Eastern Europe, he's the man I want to go with.
I want people to understand their Jewish heritage. I want them to know about the learning that went on here, the synagogues that were here, the secular learning that went on, the Jewish contributions that were made in this part of the world, both to Jewish history and to the common history of humanity.
I've had the opportunity to audit some courses taught by Professor Berk. He's such an impressive person and such an impressive teacher and speaker that I wanted more. All these things mesh and overlap and fit together, so it was only logical that I should see the place where all these things took place.
Juxtaposition of seeing the historical sites and listening to his knowledge and the background and putting it all in context. It's tremendous.
But Jews believe that there is a future for them within Hungary. So that's 1859.
Starting off each day with Dr. Berk, with all of his great knowledge, never a note, all from his head and from his heart. That's almost more of a highlight than every side trip we've taken. He's truly an amazing human being, and his energy is quite remarkable.
I like to see the bonding that goes on in these trips. To some people, this is a life-transforming trip. Some people really are affected very, very much, emotionally and intellectually. People make connections here.
Thank God for allowing us to arrive at this particular moment. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
I wanted to walk where my father had maybe once walked. I wanted to feel a connection. It made me feel like I had the connection now with my father and his family.
My mom went to Vienna when she was a little girl. My grandmother remarried, and the man that she remarried was a chemist and was lecturing out of the country when Kristallnacht happened in Vienna. Somehow or another, he was taken in by nuns someplace here in Poland. I went to the genealogist because my grandfather didn't die a Jew. They really can't trace it.
So you don't get buried in a Catholic cemetery until you've established that you belong there. And that means that the church will have records.
I'm going to now try and trace it through an archdiocese here.
I went on this trip to learn more about my family and where they're from, and to learn more about Jewish history. We were in the New Old Synagogue today, and one of the pews, pew number 20, is my father's last name, Forkosh, one of the pews from the hundreds of years ago. So interesting to see my family name listed here.
It's one thing to see movies, it's one thing to see things on television, it's another thing to read. Being here, seeing it, is very different.
I think that you can learn a lot from books, but you really have to feel and sometimes touch the things you read about.
It's been very meaningful. A learning experience, a bonding experience, an enrichment of my Judaism and my beliefs. It was all the things that I expected and probably a few more.
The most important thing that I would like for people to gather from this trip, what I do everything I can to inspire in them, is a love or an appreciation for the Jewish tradition. You can't know where you are or where you're going unless you know where you've been. I do hope that when people leave here, this will move them to really try to embrace Jewish history and the Jewish tradition.